If you'd like to make your NFL games a little more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the best NFL betting podcast in the galaxy. And we have the results to prove it again this week. Our third straight week to start the NFL season in which both me and my co-host Steve Fezzik are in the black. And boy, oh boy, it was a big one. Steve was up 9 units. I was up 6 units. That makes him up 13 for the season. I'm up 9. And somehow there are still people in the world betting on NFL football games that for whatever reason do not listen to this show. I am absolutely flummoxed. Love those of you that spread the word via social media. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. He is at Fezzik Sports. And here's the deal. Any retweets are appreciated. We love the quote tweets. You quote tweet saying these guys know their stuff. These guys are killing it. Pretty good chance you'll get the retweet because everybody should know about this show. Help us help the world. Help us help struggling economies. We are doing it. At Fezzik Sports and only at Fezzik Sports was perfect, Steve. It doesn't happen very often. You were perfect. You got every single bet right this week. 9 for 9. Well, no, that's not true because you had a couple of 2-unit bets. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 for 7, Steve. You were 7 for 7. You are a living legend.
You know, back in 2005-ish, I was in the Stardust Invitational, and I did roll a 7-0 in that contest one week. But, caveat, the week before, I went 1-5-1 and was universally lambasted on the internet. The only reason I advanced is Ed Salmon's a super sharp guy that I was up against. Westgate Oddsmaker went 1-6. So don't overreact to 1-7-0. There's certainly a 1-5-1 that could be out there, Ross.
Well, I certainly hope not. I am so fired up about how we did and our start. You know, week 1 we were up a little bit. Week 2 up a little bit. Week 3, boy, it's nice to get into the range we're at. And hopefully, I already see some bets I really like for week 4. So here's the deal. It's always about 30 minutes or less. I'm the former player. He is the only 2-time winner of the Super Contest at the Westgate. We go through our bets from the week before so you can keep us honest and you can track how we're doing. And then we'll give you every bet we have for week number 4 in the National Football League. On the recap, Steve, we had a bunch of teasers, including the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Bills, and who's the other one? And the Browns. I went 2 units. What do you call what I did, Steve? Where I went Bills, Panthers, Bills, Cardinals, Bills, Browns on 3 different teasers. Is there a name for that?
You round robined them.
Okay.
Or you wheeled them, either way.
I round robined them 2 units each, 6 units. All of them. Panthers, Bills, Cardinals, Browns. I love you, all of you. Steve went 1 unit, but he actually added a 4th teaser with the Vikings, who he got at +8. They won outright. So it was win, 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 win. We ended up, by the way, 5-0 on our best bets this week. 5-0 on best bets. It was just so fun to watch all these games take place. Already talked about Panthers, Texans, Cardinals, Jags, which made me nervous a little bit. The Cardinals made me nervous with that kick 6. Bills, Washington, Chiefs, Chargers. Now, I leaned Chargers, Steve. They were getting 6.5. The Chiefs are terrible against the spread, Steve. They're terrible.
Well, it's because the point spread tax has finally finally caught up to Kansas City. They had one of the best against the spread runs in their Super Bowl winning year. And then after winning the Super Bowl and starting hot the next year, it just became too onerous. Remember, last year they had a stretch. They won at Tampa Bay by 3, at New Orleans by 3, and at Miami by 6. They didn't cover any of those games, Ross. The tax was so high. Backing up real quick, teasers, real important. Love teasers, teasing through the 3 and the 7 in the NFL. I got to go ahead and I'm going to throw someone under the bus here. David Sklansky and Mason Malmuth are great poker players, great authors. They wrote this book, How to Make $100K a Year Gambling for a Living. It's a great book. But they talked about sports betting. And in the chapter on teasers, they said, in general, when you bet teasers, you're at a 10% disadvantage. They should be avoided. They're sucker bets. Guys, stick to poker. You're no good at sports. But I should thank you for writing such a god-awful piece on sports betting. And it just goes to show, it goes back to specialization. You can have super smart people, but Ross, I wouldn't ask you to fix my clogged drain. If I'm having an issue, I'd get a plumber. And when it comes to winning at sports, you're best at specializing, even within sports. Do the NFL or do college, and specifically just do specific conferences, and you will do much better than if you do the peanut butter approach and try to win at everything. The reason I say this, NHL is going to start. NBA is about to start. Don't try to win betting all the sports.
Ravens, Lions. We both leaned to the Lions getting 9 points. They probably should have won the game outright. It was a best bet. And wow. Justin Tucker made the kick for the Ravens to get the win and rip out the hearts for the Lions fans, but didn't matter. We won our bet. Bears, Browns, we talked about it. We teased the Browns down to -1. That cashed, although we should probably, we'll get to it when we discuss the Bears this week. Titans, Colts, neither one of us really had any feel for that game. Bengals, Steelers. We stayed away. I'm annoyed. I didn't bet the Bengals now. Steelers are not good. Saints, Patriots. I leaned Saints. You leaned Patriots. So we went head-to-head on the lean there. Leans don't really mean much except for people that like to place a lot of bets. Your thoughts on that game, Steve?
I actually think the Patriots are significantly undervalued. I'm in the minority here. Stats were equal in that game. The Patriots outstated Miami. Remember, Belichick games, New England's going to lose the stats and win the games more often than not. The opposite has happened this year. Patriots 1-2, they're undervalued.
Falcons, Giants was another best bet. I liked the Falcons. We both liked the Falcons. I only put 1 unit on it because I thought, man, Giants at home, Eli Manning day, 10 days rest. You put 2 units on it. Falcons were getting 3 points. They won outright. I am a complete moron that put 2 units on the New York Jets, getting 10.5 points. They got shut out. I will not make that mistake again. That game was painful to watch. It was my only blemish on Sunday. Raiders, Dolphins, nothing. Bucks, Rams, nothing. Vikings, Seahawks. Steve, you had that as one of your 4 teasers. That easily cashed. And then Packers, Niners. I put 2 units on the Packers, getting 3.5. They won it outright. Man, I make picks on Friday's Ross Tucker Football Podcast. I had a bunch of underdogs. Most of them came through. You had 2 units on the over in Niners Packers, Steve. That was a great call as well.
Yeah, and one thing I want to comment about these end games, and I'm having a spirited discussion on the internet. And people are like, do you really think you're smarter than these NFL teams that have all this data and all this staff? And I respond, my 10-year-old son is smarter than them in game management. If you watched McCarthy's game management, Cowboys were great. Game management, horrendous. But there's been 3 games in the NFL that have been lost with one stupid error that everyone I know knows this. When there's a minute left or less and you have the lead and you're kicking off, you do an abbreviated kickoff, a high kickoff to about the 5-yard line. You make the other team run 5 seconds off the clock, and probably they're not going to get to the 25. You don't do that the whole year. Your guys are going to get killed, but you do that in the end game. Well, Baltimore didn't do it against the Raiders. Week 1, Monday Night Football. That's why they lost. And last week, the Lions didn't do it against Baltimore. You can talk all you want about 4th and 19. That's what cost the Lions the game, kicking into the end zone, and ultimately kicking into the end zone. Go ahead and give Aaron Rodgers 37 seconds from the 25. You could have given him 32 seconds from the 22. That was the difference in the game.
It's a great point, Steve. And then Eagles, Cowboys, Monday Night Football last night. I had 2 units on the Eagles. Wow. That was surprising. I was not expecting them to give up that many points. They just got destroyed in every facet. So we only lost 2 bets the whole weekend, you and me, Steve. And the 2 we lost, they were not even close. So again, you were up 9 for the week. I was up 6, 5-0 on best bets. For the year, you're up 13 units. I'm up 9 units. This is the podcast to listen to. Then again, you guys already know that. That's why you're listening. Well, just here's the deal. Keep on listening and keep on using keeps.com/evenmoney. It is by far the best way to keep your hair. I love it. I've been taking the 2 FDA-approved medications that can prevent hair loss for years. And then once I found out Keeps offered both, I was like, I'm in, because I don't want to have to go to the doctor once a year to get the prescription. Then I don't have to go all the time to the pharmacy to pick it up. Now everything gets sent to my house, and I'm keeping the hair I still got, which is awesome. 2 out of 3 men experience some form of hair loss by the time they're 35. That means most of you. Everything we do is the percentages and the odds. Put the percentages and the odds in your favor. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/evenmoney to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/evenmoney to get your first month free. Keeps.com/evenmoney. All right, Steve, let's dive into week 4. I got a question for you. I got like 5 teaser legs I really like. 3 are favorites teasing down. 2 are underdogs teasing up. Do you have a strategy? Should I round robin it? What are you thinking?
Well, you can certainly round robin it or wheel it, as I like to say. Let's do a quick calculation. Warning, math coming. So that would be 5 factorial divided by 3 factorial times 2 factorial in terms of number of combinations. So that's the 3 cancels. So 4 times 5 divided by 2. That would be 10 different bets, Ross. If we put 1 unit on each, that's certainly reasonable. And I think that that's a good strategy.
That sounds like a lot to keep track of, though, too.
Nah, it's easy because you don't have to go through and add each one of them. If you go 2 and 3, you're going to go 1 and 9. If you go 3 and 2, you're going to go 4 and 6.
Okay, so what are you saying I do here? Because here's what I got. I like the Titans teased down from -8 to -2. I like the Saints teased against the Giants from -8 to -2. I like KC against the Eagles teased from -7 to -1. And then Detroit and Atlanta from +1.5 up to +7.5. And Detroit from +2.5 up to +8.5.
Yeah, so you're going to do every combination. So it's 10 different combinations. You probably just want to go 1 unit each, so you don't bet too much on any one game. And that's 10 different combinations. So 10 best bets for you.
So Tennessee, New Orleans, Tennessee, Kansas City, Tennessee, Detroit, Tennessee, Atlanta. New Orleans, Kansas City, New Orleans, Detroit. Oh, I got it. Man, but I'm really tempted. I'm Tuck's teasers, man. I'm tempted to go 2 units. Is that too much?
Yes, it's too much because now you're essentially betting 8 units on one of these teams in terms of the teaser legs. So think about this. We know we don't go more than 3 units. I don't think you should suddenly bet 8 units on something as if it's like the greatest bet. It's too high. You got to have some bankroll management.
Okay. I'm doing one. I'm going with Steve. I'm going 1 unit on each because you're right. If I do 2 units on each and I lose the 1, that would bother me. So 1 unit on all 5 of those teaser legs that we just went over. Let's start with Thursday night, Steve. Bengals are laying 7 to the Jags.
And we're going to have a little bit of a diversification here because I'm going to just play my teasers without wheeling them all together like Ross's, but I endorse his basic strategy teasers. I'm going to tease Cincinnati. Why not? Since he's -7, I'll tease him down to -1. I'm going to play 2 teasers, 2 units each. Let me go ahead and pair them up with Minnesota Vikings. I'll take from 2.5 up to 8.5 for 2 units. And I'll also tease the New Orleans Saints from -8 down to -2. 2 units on each of those teasers. So 4 units in total on the Bengals to pound the hapless Jaguars.
Let's get to, I think I would lean Jacksonville there. I got a funny feeling about Jacksonville playing pretty well Thursday night. I would lean Jacksonville getting the 7 points. Sunday, Eagles are hosting the Chiefs. Chiefs are laying 7. They've been terrible against the spread. The Eagles played Monday night. They look like they're in a bounce-back spot after getting smoked by the Cowboys. What do you got, Steve? The Chiefs are one of the teams I'm teasing.
Yeah, so I certainly would lean to the Chiefs teaser. The only reason I'm leaving it off, Ross, is because, the whole Andy Reid hospitalization. So I don't like to tease teams that have big variance. And it's possible that could really be an issue with the preparation for this week. Remember in the Super Bowl when the Chiefs completely were horrible. Oh, yes, the O-line was, the primary reason. But there were a lot of distractions with Andy Reid's son during that week as well. So here's another week full of distractions. And Andy Reid's great with extra time to prepare. Now he's got limited time to prepare because of this issue. And because of that, I think there might be a little more variance than normal. I'm going to pass the game.
The Titans are at the Jets. The Titans are laying 8 points, Steve.
Yep. I haven't laid 8 on an NFL game in 20 years because the teaser is mathematically superior, and I could only look towards Tennessee Titan teasers. I don't like teasing road teams nearly as much, and I don't like betting against teams that got blown out and looked terrible and got shut out, especially the week before. Now, you might argue, well, that's going to happen to the Jets each and every week, so it doesn't really matter. Bottom line is, Saleh was really forecasted to be a fine NFL coach. We're obviously rethinking that. I'm going to pass the game.
Yep, Titans are another one of my teaser legs from -8 down to -2. I would lean to the Titans straight up, believe it or not. The Texans are getting 16 points, Steve, in an NFL game from the Buffalo Bills. Total is 48. I keep forgetting to tell the total. Total is 48.
I will lean to the horrible Houston Texans who are playing hard for their coach. If it hits 17, I will bet it and probably not watch it. So just a lean with the underdog.
I would lean Houston as well. That's a lot of points. I thought Davis Mills did some decent things, and that's a lot of points. Giants, Saints, back in New Orleans. The Giants are 8-point underdogs in New Orleans. New Orleans, yet another one of my teaser legs from -8 down to -2.
Me as well. 2 schools of thought. New Orleans, exhausted team, been practicing in Texas. 3 straight games played away from home. Now they come back to New Orleans, and anyone who bets the NBA or MLB knows this is the spot you don't bet a team. The homecoming spot. We saw that with San Francisco last week. Don't want a team with all those distractions. Family hasn't seen them in forever, and they also have to prep for the game, especially a team off of a win, because that team, it's just human nature. The coaches let up on them a little bit. The players are distracted. Having said all that, I also think it's a good spot for the Saints. First home game, first game after the hurricane. You come back. Remember that game against Atlanta when they finally played after Katrina and how hyped the crowd was. So you've got pluses and minuses associated with New Orleans. I think the distractions are probably the more significant factor, but the Giants, that was a gut punch, losing that game. They have a key injury on the offensive line. I want no part of the Giants. The teaser makes sense with the Saints.
Browns are at the Vikings. Browns laying 2.5. You already teased the Vikings up from 2.5 to 8.5. This is a stay away game for me. I probably would lean Cleveland laying the 2.5, but the Vikings look pretty darn good, man. They look good against the Seahawks. So this is a game I got to stay away from. Total's 53.5 there, high total. Cousins is playing very well. Now you've got Carolina and the Cowboys. Boy, earlier this morning, I think it was the Carolina was getting 5 or 5.5. Now it's down to 4.5. Carolina laying 4.5. Totals 50.5, Steve.
Strong lean to Carolina. Obviously, losing C-Mac, other injuries, big issue with Carolina. But situationally, I got a 10-day rest team against a team that just beat one of their rivals, pounded their rival on Monday Night Football. So huge rest edge goes to Carolina. Enormous coaching game strategy edge goes to Carolina. Mike McCarthy, I'm going to give him accolades for great job having his team ready to go this year. But how many errors does this dude have to make in game management decisions? 4th and 1 on the goal line. Well, at least he went for it. But no, it's slowly get in the huddle, slowly come to the line of scrimmage, jumbo backfield. All right, I understand Dak got into the end zone. They didn't give it to him, but it's all wrong. You run Belichick. You put 3 wide receivers out wide. You rush to the line of scrimmage. You score every time. And why McCarthy, with the year off to study analytics, doesn't realize that, who knows? Dude kicks the extra point up 19 and up 26. It's just a train wreck. Doesn't use his timeouts at the end of the first half. I mean, literally makes 5 basic strategy mistakes. Hire someone. If anyone on the Dallas Cowboys staff, management knows anyone, send a note to Jerry Jones that you need to hire a game manager to tell dude what to do. I lean Carolina in this game.
Yeah, it is. I lean Carolina as well, but Mike McCarthy, I mean, the end of the first half, not calling timeout. I'll never get over that. How about Atlanta hosting Washington? Interesting to me that Washington's still favored by 1.5. I would certainly lean Atlanta, and I do have them as a teaser leg up to 7.5.
Yeah, teaser delight. You know what? We haven't had a best bet yet. So let me tease Atlanta for 2 games. Ross, do you have a favorite when you wheeled your 5 teaser legs? What was your favorite of the other 4 teams? Do you have one?
I really like Kansas City, and I really like Detroit.
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll utilize – I didn't use Kansas City, but Kansas City's going to win. Yeah, Kansas City for the second leg of that 2-team teaser, 2 units. That's a best bet.
The best bet.
Colts, Dolphins. The Dolphins are favored by 2.5 at home. I thought that number was a little bit light. In fact, this morning I had circled Miami minus 1.5. Now it's already up to Miami minus 2.5.
Yeah, and it's still 1.5 in Vegas. And I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and bet the Dolphins minus 1.5 on one of my Las Vegas apps as we speak. 2 is like a dead number, so I should not really be all that concerned about it. But I hate giving up a whole point, even if it's an insignificant point. So it's just a lean Miami minus the 1.5.
Yeah, it's a lean for me, Miami. I'm looking at DraftKings right now, and it's 2.5. So it's a lean for me, Miami minus 2.5. I feel like the Colts have to get better one of these times. Detroit's in Chicago. Detroit's getting 2.5 points. The Chicago Bears were an abject disaster in Cleveland on Sunday. So that's why I'm teasing the Lions up from plus 2.5 to plus 8.5. I think they got a great chance to win outright. I would certainly lean Detroit, but I'm going to give myself a little cushion and tease it up.
Wow. Fields, what was it? 1 yard passing? What does that work out to per play? 0.0. All right, 0.0 something. I don't know what to make of this game, Ross. I am going to go ahead and play this game under the 42. I'm getting rooked with the bad number at DraftKings, so they're dealing it low. I'll make it just 1 unit under the 42. 42 is a dead number. By the way, you hear this all the time. 42 is a key number. in the NFL. It's not a key number because 21-21 heads into overtime. So you need 6 touchdowns and they can't break 3 and 3. Under 42, 1 unit.
Cardinals are in LA. Huge game. 2 undefeated teams. Cardinals are getting 4.5, Steve.
Happy action, fun time. 2 3-0 teams flying high. Bring your abacus and add up the scoring, Ross. It's hip to be square. 2 units over 54.5.
Wow. That's a high number, 54.5, but you're not phased. Okay. Seahawks are at the Niners. Seahawks are getting 3 points.
Seems a little bit high to me, but just a little bit. I would have made the game like 2.7. So at 3, it's just a lean to Seattle.
I'd probably lean San Francisco. I don't know what's gotten into Seattle, but it's not good. The total's 51.5. Man, this bothers me. You know, the Steelers are at the Packers. Packers are laying 7. Steve, when I looked at it this morning, they were laying 6.5. That makes a big difference. Packers almost seem like another pretty good teaser leg you could get involved with there.
Yeah, so on a key number, you can never play a bad number, because if I told you, hey, you can bet football and you got to bet 6 to make 5 or lay a 120 to win 100, you would never do that. Essentially, that's what you're doing here. If you wanted to play Green Bay -7, -110, because -6.5, -120 is actually a little bit of a better bet by fraction, decimal points. And there's plenty of -6.5s at other books. So we love DraftKings. DraftKings is the leading edge provider right now of odds. You can bet NFL season wins at DraftKings. But if DraftKings has the very worst number in the world and you like a team like Green Bay, you got to pass at DraftKings, and that's what I'm doing. I pass.
Baltimore is at Denver. Denver is laying 1 point. 1 point, Steve.
All right. Very complicated game. Denver's 3-0. They've crushed 3 opponents. All are bottom 5 opponents. Further, Denver is decimated with injuries. 7 starters injured, including Judy. I won't go through them all. So Denver is clearly overvalued. However, it's Baltimore's 3rd road game in 4 games. Every one of these Baltimore games comes down to the final play. So there's an emotional tax, whereas Denver's just having laugher after laugher, and now they can go all in a likely close game. Further, Baltimore finished preseason with 2 road games. I know they had a bye, but essentially this is their 5th road game that they had to travel in the last 7 weeks. That's a major disadvantage heading to altitude. On top of it, even with the injuries, I will lean to Denver.
Yeah, I'm going to put a unit on the Denver Broncos laying the 1 point. I've been very impressed with them. I don't care who they're playing. They're still winning by double digits. 1 unit on the Broncos laying 1 point. Bucks, Patriots, Sunday Night Football. Here's another one, Steve. I had circled Tampa Bay -6.5. Now it's -7. I mean, we got to start recording this show Tuesday mornings. What is going on? These are 2 bets I really liked at 6.5 that are both up to 7 now.
Yeah, and we always emphasize get as many outs as possible to take advantage of it. You know what? I'm going to take the 7 with New England. I'm in the minority here. Every single media guy has brought up great points. TB, Gronk, it's time to get back at New England, and New England is playing poorly, and Tampa Bay is off of a loss, and it's a great spot for Tampa Bay. I'm not so sure. New England, they're not 1-2, Ross. New England is 1-0-2. They've won a game, and they've had 2 ties. They tied Miami. All right, that's unfair. They really lost the New Orleans game, but the stats were equal. Fine. New England's 1-1-1. They easily could have won the Miami game. They really should have won the Miami game. Make them 2-1, and they're suddenly catching 7 points. If the season started today, New England's a 9-win team. Tampa's a 12-win team. That's not enough of a separation for a team to be laying 7 on the road in what will be an absolute hostile environment. Belichick is still a genius, and Brady is great, but he's 44. I'll take the +7 2 units.
Wow. Okay. Then we've got, I would just be a lean at -6.5. I was a lean to the Bucks. At +7, I'm just a total stay away. Finally, we've got the Raiders and the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Raiders are getting 3.5 points.
Very interesting. So I just got a text from my pro-better friend, Brad F. And Brad tells me, don't be an idiot, Fezzik. Don't pick the Raiders. He says the Chargers, and he's a very sharp guy, are heading to the Super Bowl, and they're going to win the division. He says they're massively undervalued. They crushed the football team on the play-by-play in the actual game. They barely won the game. He says they outplayed Dallas, and Dallas is really good, and then they just beat Kansas City. Excellent points, but I can't get past the fact that it's a home game for the Raiders, and it's getting priced like the Chargers are home. This is going to be 80% Raider fans in Southern California, and I really think that's the number one factor in this game. I will respect Brad. I would just lean to the Raiders here.
Yeah, I'm going to put 1 unit on the Raiders. I've been very impressed by them, and I like getting the 3.5, and I like that they are essentially the home team. I also like, Steve, quite a bit. When every once in a while I get to ask you a quick question. Before I do, though, I want to make sure everybody knows Duralast Elite brake pads. Those are our brake pads on the Even Money podcast, exclusively at AutoZone. They're proven tough. In fact, they're 3 times longer than a typical Duralast pad. That's their stopping power. That's how long they last. And you already know Duralast Elite. That sounds good. Duralast, like built to last. They got that hex pattern. Do you know what a fancy protective hex pattern is, Steve?
No, but I think when you drive, because as all the traveling you do, you have 1 foot on the brake and 1 foot on the wheel. You probably wear out your brake pads like no other, Ross.
I do wear out my brake pads. Thankfully, AutoZone has over 6,000 locations nationwide and more ways to shop online and in store. So I'll have no problem picking up a set when I need them the most. The future of stopping starts with Duralast Elite brake pads only at AutoZone. Steve, I got to ask you just a quick question because we do have people that take advantage of any of our sponsors like Keeps. And I want to ask you a question. This is from a guy who's a patron, patreon.com/RTmedia, where you can get all of Steve and I's bets online. You can read them rather than having to try to jot them down or listen to the show again. Patreon.com/RTmedia. He said he got the Colts at 150-1 to have the league's worst record. And he wanted to know from you, Steve, how can he hedge that bet?
Excellent. I'm going to give him 2 bets to make to hedge that bet. At DraftKings, season win bets, Ross, we're going to bet the Jets under 3.5 wins. And we are going to bet the Jaguars under 3.5 wins because I like these bets anyways. And think about it. If both those teams go under, probably one of them is only going to win 2 games or less. And that's probably Indianapolis is going to get more wins than that. So this is an excellent plus EV bet that's negatively correlated with this Colts to have worse record bet.
Okay. Love it. Check him out on social media at Fezzik Sports, only at Fezzik Sports. He's been getting ornery during these NFL games. Steve's tweeting more than I've ever seen him tweet before. I am at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod, and we're killing it. So tell everybody. We're done. Good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money, and you will if you keep trailing our bets.
Thanks for listening to the Even Money Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, the Fantasy Feast, Business of Sports, and the College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
A lot of times on the show, I mentioned DraftKings. Here's what you need to know. You got to be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. By the way, if what I was talking about included a deposit bonus, doesn't always, sometimes it does. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough, and deposit bonuses are paid out in site credit.